This is Storytellers and Storysellers live on tape. You're listening to Vineet Kanabar on the IVM Podcast Network. Every episode on this show, we introduce you to fantastic people from the business of content, entertainment, and marketing in the hope that you get some interesting wisdom, learning, or stories from them. On today's episode, we have two phenomenal women from the world of web content. Someone who's directed and created a show that is in its third season now. Like, breathe that in, right? 3 seasons of a show is a big deal. If you've seen Girls Hostel, we're going to talk to Shreyasi Sharma, who is the creator of Girls Hostel. And for the first time, or maybe the second time, we're not sure because we're old now, but we're repeating a guest. And I'm delighted to have Ahsaas Channa back in the studio for another episode. Ahsaas Channa, bona fide youth icon. Since the first time that Ahsaas was on the show, she has had several hit shows. A number 1 Spotify podcast called Dear Teenage Me.
Yes.
And unlimited success. And we're so glad that you joined us. Welcome to the show, Shreyasi and Ahsaas.
Hi, thank you.
You guys sound like... I just read out your own accomplishments, guys. I didn't make any of this shit up. I promise they did all of this shit, man. Shreyasi has created a show with 3 seasons, and Ahsaas is a bona fide youth icon. What are you going to do about it?
I don't get to hear that so often.
Yeah?
Sitting across on a table like this. Yeah.
See, that's why we bring you in here, for the ego massage.
Yeah.
That's why we have you on. Ahsaas, Shreyasi, so glad you could join us.
This is our first interview together also, Shreyasi and
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And I think I'm very happy.
I am
doing
also
this
very
with
happy.
you.
It's because we've hung out together so much.
Yeah.
We are like really good friends also, I think, in my opinion.
Yes.
But
She sent a contract. आपने sign करके भेजा नहीं है वापस.
भेजा है यार actually,
भेजा है.
हाँ.
Oh, love it.
मैंने-
I'm not doubting this.
या और मैंने लिखा भी है कि सीजन 4 में मेरा ये रोल होगा, मैं ये करूँगी, तो इसलिए उसको इसलिए दोस्त बनाया क्योंकि सीजन में मेरा अच्छा
Yeah.
सुन रहे हो ना आप?
हाँ, मुझे हाँ सुन रही पता तो मुझे but ठीक है.
ये तो मतलब राइटर की इंट्यूशन. कैसा लग रहा है लेकिन? 3 seasons of Girls Hostel out. Shreyasi, will start with you. How does it feel, man?
It's I think it's very surreal. मुझे I think मैं उस point पे हूँ जिस पे it's 3 seasons but I've given like 4 years and more to the show and the characters and yeah, I think it calms me down to think that I've made something and used my time to do something worthwhile.
You've used your time that so many other people think is worthwhile. And here's why I say that, right? I was at TVF when Girls Hostel season 1 came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm that
yeah.
old.
Yeah.
I thought the season Girls Hostel is that old because it's been a while since you left.
It has.
TVF है ना,
It
तो
has.
that's why I'm like, oh my god, season 1 बहुत साल पहले आया था, and it's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a
I
while.
remember my team at that time running around to get you to Pune to some events in colleges, and I think Girls Hostel was pretty much the first time when we did like an organized college tour for a show. उसके पहले ऐसा होता था, हाँ इस college में बुला रहे हैं वहाँ चले जाओ. But Girls Hostel was like the first time we said no, we have to take these people to Girls Hostels, and that's where the show will really kick off, and that was that. And why I love Girls Hostel is, of course, it's a wonderful show. It's funny. It's very interesting. But it came at a time when you had all of these show franchises built around groups of men, right? So you had a Pitchers, and then you had a Zeros for that matter. I don't know if you guys remember, TSP did a show called Zeros way back when, right? And you had all of these shows that talked about various male friendships and relationships and various settings and all that. And then came along this show which was all about this. There were a couple of other shows that TVF was doing at that time as well, which were very female friendship centric as well.
Yeah.
Right? There was that show about 3 flatmates who used to live together. I forget what.
PA Girls? Pagals.
PA Girls. Yeah, that was a Timeliner show, I think. That.
No.
No.
Girliyapa.
Girliyapa only, right?
I also was a writer.
You were
So,
on PA Girls as well, right? So
yeah.
Girliyapa was doing this whole like, bro, we want to show how women really live. We want to show what real relationships with women are like, and not this sort of weird fantasy where women are an accessory to other main relationships. And that's where Girls Hostel to me really like, wow, man, it stood out in a big way. And I'm so glad that what now, maybe 4 years on, 4.5 years on, you guys are still going strong. You're on a like legit OTT platform,
Legit OTT, yes.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, a YouTube show is a YouTube show, is
Yeah,
wonderful
yeah,
and all of
yeah.
that, but when someone buys an IP that you've created and says, I'm going to pay big money for this, I'm going to commission this and go, that's a
Yeah.
big deal, right? I mean, as a creator, do you not think so?
It's I think it makes me happy that there are people who wouldn't actually know about the show.
Mhm.
But since it is on a platform that reaches out to so many people, the range of audiences I can't even comprehend probably how many
Right.
people, and people from different walks of lives have been made accessible to it. So yeah, I think, yeah.
Love it. Let me bring you into this, Ahsaas. What's gone through your mind when you came back to do season 3 of Girls Hostel, right? I mean, Richa, the character, super loved. You, super loved. What was going through your mind? What was your expectation stepping back into season 3?
Okay, I'll start with saying that Girls Hostel is one of the best shows I've done because I've found really good friends on it,
Mhm.
and I genuinely have a really good time on set because you know, when you think of a show that has more than 2 female protagonists, you always think, oh my god, there might be some tension on set, or there's like, you know, people are fighting, or like at least one of them doesn't like another one. But is set pill, it's nothing like this has happened. Like, we don't dislike one person on the set. We are all friends, not just the actors, even like the writer of the show is our friend, and the entire crew is just amazing. So I always have a great time on Girls Hostel set. So even when season 2 happened, I was genuinely excited, and it was happening during the pandemic, like very freshly during the pandemic. And I think it was the first set I went to after the pandemic. I mean, like after lockdown, basically. So when and I was actually not expecting a season 3 after season 2. I don't know why. For some reason, I just like, nahi, theek hai, bas ab nahi banega isse zyada. But like it happened, and it was written so well, and now it is received so well, which is absurd, because, you know, after, I mean, like, I don't think it's ever happened that a season 3 is doing better than season 2 or a season 1. So it's always really nice. I think I'm very overwhelmed and grateful that this is happening, and I love this character also because she's very close to who Ahsaas is. Like Richa, there's a very thin line between Richa and Ahsaas. I have both, like one foot is on Richa's side and one foot is on Ahsaas's side. So like it's really, I feel very comfortable playing this character also. So I just love it.
It's so sweet, man. I'm so glad that this kind of success is continuing to happen with TVF, right? After a difficult time, then continuing to focus on the power of content, making sure that your content quality stays up. It's such a resurgence for great shows from TVF, right? When you look back on your time at Shreyasi, and I'm going to ask you this question, but I'll set it up, right? Shreyasi one day just walked into TVF and said, give me a job doing something funny.
Yes.
Right? You were working in genetics.
I was teaching. I was an assistant professor for genetics.
You were an ACDC somewhere.
ACDC was before a
Not the rock band.
Not the rock band. ACDC was my job profile before I was an assistant professor, and yeah, we used to do clinical trials or वो सारी चीजें.
My mind is blowing again.
It is very interesting shit. Yeah.
I did not know about that. Why didn't you ever tell me about this, man?
Because we didn't.
You're saving it
ask.
for me to bring
Yeah.
it out, right? This is thank you,
Revelations
thank you.
are going to
See you.
happen
Yeah,
here.
that's the show, guys. Joking. But no, back to you.
Yeah.
You got nothing to do with the creative arts, so to speak, right? Walk into TVF, say, hey, I think I'm funny. Give me a job. And now, what is that, like 6 years, 7 years at TVF?
Yeah, it's been 7 years. Yes.
Yeah, about 7 years at TVF. And
Mhm.
now you're helming the biggest shows for women. You've got OTT deals that your CD on. If I were to ask you, what was TVF's role in this, right? And how it helped you sort of get to this point, what would you say?
Wow.
Yeah, no easy questions.
I think everything was possible because I entered TVF that day. And it is not just the writing or the fact that, one day I was just sitting in my room and I have this opportunity to create these characters, but to also get them through that
Mhm.
journey. And that comes with a lot of training, lot of just doing that job of storytelling, just watching things, just reliving or rewatching shows or stories that I've grown up watching. और इन सब चीज़ों का जो एक accumulative effect है वो एक साथ ही it could, I would say, become a broth because it was boiling in TVF. And yeah, I think from the crux of the heart of the show, that it wants to tell the stories of these aspirational girls who want to do something in a very generic premise that is your hostel or a college life, and to find stories that have not been told in a way that is comedy, because usually people don't see uh, s- uh, strong journeys coming out of a space that is comic,
Mhm.
which I think is again something that I derive from whatever TVF is. So yeah, it's a TVF original and a Girliyapa original in all its sense.
Love it. I think there is I wouldn't say baggage, but there is a veneer of realism that comes with every TVF show, right? Whether it's Quota Factory for that matter, right? Of course, humor is such an important part of how a TVF show scene is written, right? There is different types. There's obviously the humor in the writing, but not just that. There's physical, all of that, right? How would you define that humor learning, or what are the contours of that humor? If I were to ask you to put it in words, right? I know I'm asking you probably to like bottle lightning bottle lightning or something. But what have you taken away as someone who's been trained in writing at TVF, right?
Hmm. um, बहुत abstract
बिल्कुल
question है.
बिल्कुल यही करते हैं हम यहाँ पे.
But I think to live, I have in the last 7 years to go every day and be around people who are just funny, and to see that how normal, and like Richa is a very average girl.
Mhm.
Millie is averager, like she's full of flaws. And for me to understand how I've seen that, I was like during narrations I would see that people want to listen to your story
Mhm.
because it's funny.
Right.
And then what I saw was that then you build on it because there's feedback, there is a lot of different perspectives coming in, And for me to then like shape it somehow with giving it more structure, meaning, sense, purpose has been like it has been like an amalgamation of takeaways from different stories of TVF and the shows that TVF or the content I'd already seen.
Right.
Just say Inglorious Seniors is one of the oldest sketches. And then there is Other 24. That was also one of the inspirations for me to tell something that is that I have lived in a girls' hostel. So it was not specifically wanting to tell कि हाँ एक women oriented हमें ऐसे, but just by the nature of the fact that we are all creators in a bowl, we could, find things we make around, stories we tell around from coming from our experiences. So yeah, I think I have also learned how to express what I have or what I have experienced. And we've all been doing that in the writer's room since a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, yeah.
Love it. Have you ever lived in a girls' hostel?
For 6 years, 6 or 7 years.
How about you?
Never.
No?
No. I've lived my girls' hostel experience through the show.
Yeah?
Yeah. I feel like I know girls' hostel. I know how it is to be in a girls' hostel because of the show.
And when you discovered that experience, did you feel like...
Yeah, totally. Because I feel like, when I was younger, I was always told, I was always scared of hostel because my sister was in a boarding school, and I was always told it like it's a punishment.
Of course.
कि मतलब
hostel
भेज देंगे तुम्हें. So I always had this fear of going to a hostel, and literally through this show I've realized that I probably might have like missed out on the best experience, because I feel like everybody should go to a hostel for at least a year, because it really shapes you in the person that you become. You become more independent, you become more mature. Like all the people that have been to all my friends who've been to a hostel are cooler than the ones who've not.
I agree. I mean, people in hostels somehow develop like extra skills.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, I'm a guy, as you can tell. But you can figure out how long someone has lived in a hostel by how well adjusted they are. Right? They have like very little hanky-panky. You tell them something needs to be done, they'll do it. Things change, they're okay with it. Because they've seen strife and living in a difficult scenario. And again, if you've lived in a boys' hostel in India, you've lived in like squalor and filth.
Yeah.
So that's the less aspirational parts. But yeah. Ahsaas, let me ask you this, man. All the roles that I can think of that you've played are obviously of someone who's young, but there are a lot of interesting college-based roles or education-adjacent roles that you've done, right? There's obviously Kota Factory, there's Girls' Hostel, there's Jugadistan.
Oh, yeah. Nobody talks
Sorry?
about it. I'm saying nobody talks about it.
We talk about it. Are
yeah,
there any others that you can think of?
There's Hostel Days.
There's Hostel Days,
Yes.
of course. The one and only Flame University.
So yeah. Jugadistan is also a university-based show. So yes, I feel like I know what you're asking me.
Go for it.
I feel like I'm in that age group where, like, if a teenage drama or like a college drama is being made, I think I fit that role very well. But from now on, I've realized, because I've been typecast for being a college girl and a girl next door, I have made that conscious decision that I will not be a part of a college or a university drama, unless like it's an exceptional show. I will do it, but I'm trying to make that conscious decision to do different kinds of roles and do like roles that are not college based and university based, where I'm not a student basically, because people literally say that Ahsaas has never been to a college. The only education that she's gotten is Kota Factory Girls Hostel days in Rajasthan. So
What I was
That
going to
sucks.
ask you though.
okay, sorry, that was not the question.
No.
Oh, damn it.
But I love it. I mean, I got part of the answer that would have been part of my question. But my question was actually a little bit more about the craft. But based on exactly what you said, right? Like, as someone who's been on the inside of entertainment since a very young age, there's no mild way to put it. There are some experiences you sometimes miss out on, right? And then you're expected to go back and essay those experiences or those characters on screen, right? How do you do it?
I mean, I've never, like I said, I've never been to a hostel. So, I mean, I think the entire credit for the kind of the process of my creating my character goes to the writer and the director, because like I said, I've never been to a hostel, so I drive from her experiences, because she knows, she's been to a hostel and she's written the show, she's written the character. So I think a lot of discussions with the writer, I mean with Shreyasi and like whoever, the next show that I do or whatever shows I've done, I think I always seek help from the writer and the director. So that's how I work on the character. But like I said, I think I've been to college. I'm an educated girl. Please.
Guys, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, I mean, I think that relatability part always comes because college girl hai, and again, I fit that character. Like, I was 18 when we shot season 1. I was 18, no? हाँ, I was 18. Now I'm 23. तो कितना हुआ? 19, 20, 21. हाँ, हो गया. तो yeah, so I think I fit.
Advanced mathematics.
Suck at it. I just said I'm educated and then I sucked at math. That's crazy.
It's all right.
Yeah.
We'll still keep this in the edit.
But I also think she's a natural.
Right. Of course she is.
Yeah, I mean, there were very few times when I had to actually. I had the most fun watching Richa on the monitor, because Ahsaas has just become more and more Richa.
Right.
So I think it's very less that I know of Richa than more than I think she has embraced, embodied. So yeah, I think
What a lovely compliment that is. Right?
That's
From
really
the person
sweet.
who's like written the character.
That's, I mean, quite overwhelming. Thanks, Shreyas. But I feel like season 1 was Richa, because she was a new girl in the show. She was trying to find her own voice and understand what she wants to do in life, because she's like the first line of the show is like, मैं अब 18 की हो गई हूँ, I want to live on my own terms. So I think throughout, I love this character arc, because throughout the season she's found her voice, and by season 3 she's like, she knows what she wants, she knows her priorities. She knows that a relationship is not meant for her at the moment. There are things that she wants to do for the hostel, and she wants to become a good president, because she's seen her friend Zahira work really hard, and she's seen how, how much it matters to Joe and probably Millie also. So I think throughout the seasons, the character graph and the way it has turned out, I think I really like that. And yeah, I mean, it just goes to Shreyasi, and yeah.
Love it. To round this segment off, if I were to ask you to give one good reason each for folks to go check out this show, what would that be? We'll start with you, Shreyasi.
one.
कहती 1 अच्छा मेरे पास तो 50 हैं.
ऐसे 6 तो मैं गिना दूँ.
बैग में नोटबुक में लिखें सारे.
Friendships, I think love is the message. Lol. But yeah, it's a show about friends, and essentially, irrespective of whatever premise it's set on, it is about how you grow as friends when suddenly some friends leave, or how others are struggling, and then you are with them or not. So yeah, I think even if you have not lived in a hostel, it will relate to you on a level of missing people or realizing that probably because it's an aspirational show, I think so, in a lot of aspects. So I think it'll make you feel connected more with your friends.
Love it. That's a very, very good reason, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ahsaas?
I feel like this is one of those very rare shows that have really strong, very relatable, and very, very real female characters. You see all shades of a female in this show. There are grey characters, there are negative characters, and then there are also like really nice characters who you can relate to. So I feel like if you want to understand women, I think just watch the show.
Say that again.
No. I think if you want to understand women, I think you can go and watch Girls Hostel because you see all shades of women in it. Through different characters and all different characters in different situations, how they deal with it, how they react to it. I think it's a very real and a raw show for women, and it's not just for women. I mean, even men enjoy it because it's that, like, it's not feminism in your face. It's very real. It's a very it's in a very real space. Yeah,
love it. So watch it for a refresher of friendships. It'll make you miss your friends, and watch it for some fantastic female characters who are not feminists for the heck of it, or not using feminism as a character branding tool, but they're feminist in their actions and feminist in their aspirations and feminist in their behavior.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think their context of wanting to break those stereotypes against female characters is very intentionally set up. So and it comes naturally. So it's not like something that, oh, I don't buy this. It is because it is set up in situations and in the premise. It comes very naturally that, yeah, someone in this situation would do this or that, or not do this or that. So, I think, yeah.
Love it. Before I go into our mid-episode break, did you have 3 seasons sketched out, like way back when? When did you start building on this, right? I wanted to ask you this right at the top, but I forgot.
Absolutely not. It was, I think, the thing with web shows is that you discover, rediscover.
Right.
And that's the most interesting aspect, and that's why this much of time to even let your characters grow. And वो लिखते लिखते ही दिखता है पोटेंशियल कि अब मेरा कैरेक्टर अब ये कर सकता है, या ये इसको ये सिचुएशन दें तो इस पे कैसे रिएक्ट करेगा कोई. तो या इट हैज़ बीन अ वेरी मतलब बहुत डिस्कवरी वाला प्रोसेस है ये, जो अब जाते जाते ही आप कर सकते हो. सीजन्स वाइज इट वाज डेफिनेटली थॉट ऑफ, but on the whole, no.
Love it. And when she first narrated this to you, were there parts of the character where you were like, maybe not? Or was it like, man, I trust
no,
you?
not that I remember. I mean, not during season 1 for sure. Like,
Right.
when I read the whole thing, I was really surprised at how relatable and how fun every episode is. Like, the first episode is literally about a bra getting stolen. So and it is such a basic, such a normal thing, but the way it's written, it was just fantastic. So like, I've never lived in a hostel, but I know कि हाँ मतलब ऐसा ही होता होगा अगर चोरी होगी, है ना, hostel में तो. And there were so many fun elements, so I don't really feel like, this is not working, or this is not I can't understand this happening.
Love it. With that, we will go into a quick break. Sort of. We'll be back on Storytellers and Storysellers talking to Ahsaas and Shreyasi right after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
Hey everyone, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Vartalab, Akash and Naveen are joined by Sushant Divgikar, aka Rani Kohinoor, They talk about queer representation in the film and TV industry and how Sushant got the chance to be a part of the international show Queen of the Universe. We have a brand new show. It's called Page 10. The show has panelists discussing some piping hot topics from politics to current affairs and much more. This week, Abbas, Jalasmi, Meghnad and Nikhil discuss about the FIFA World Cup, Jama Masjid banning the entry of women alone and much more. New episodes out every Monday. On this round is on me, Gauri Devidayal welcomes the CEO of Now Spirits, Anand Virmani. He walks us through the history of gin in India and the world. And on Explain Like I'm 10, Meghnad is joined by Anushka Shah, founder of Civic Studio and IVM social media head Farah Romane, to discuss about what exactly is content. Once again, do not forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcast.com. Y'all can find some really cool and exciting stuff over there for you and your loved ones. Do follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. If you like our shows, then do spread the word. You know, it really helps us a lot. And of course, do not forget to rate and review our shows on whatever platform you are listening to them. And do check out youtube.com/IVM Podcast for all our video shows. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Bumble, Kotak Privilege Program and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you so much for making this possible.
And we're back. We're still here. Ahsaas is surprised at how long our break was.
Very long, yaar.
इतना तो मतलब break बोलने का भी time नहीं मिला.
Exactly.
I'm joking. Ahsaas, like I set up at the beginning of this episode, a lot has happened in your life since the last time you were on this show, right? Now, that is an entire separate podcast episode by itself. But I want to ask you about being on podcast, man. If I remember correctly, and I'm old, so my memory might be weak here, but I think that was your first podcast episode.
Yes.
Right? Second episode of Storytellers and Storysellers with Sudeep Lahiri. Episode is called Bringing Up Influencers.
Good memory, yeah? Very nice.
My show. And I remember sitting down and talking to you and asking you about how does a 17, 18-year-old girl who's clearly so talented make sense of this world around her? And your response was, I'm just taking it one day at a time. And I'm getting my wits in a row. I'm learning from people around me. But I don't have a master plan here, right? I'm really just taking it one day at a time. 3.5 years from that episode, about 3 and some years from that episode. There is some master plan here.
Is there?
I'm asking you.
I don't, no, I mean, not intentionally. There must be a lot of things that I have learned and understood in the last 3.5 years. I want to add that I was very nervous that day because it was my first podcast. So I was like really nervous. And I'm not. I'm very comfortable right now.
Love it.
So yeah, I mean, at that time also because I had very recently started web or like even, you know, I stepped into the whole web series OTT space. So, and it was not just me, like everybody, it was a very new space. Like I think the whole OTT space was like brand new.
Absolutely.
So, at that time, I really did not know what is happening or I was just enjoying everything because everything was falling into place. I think Kota Factory had already come by then.
Kota
I'm not very
Factory
sure
was, no, it was about to come out.
Yeah.
Oh, it had just come out by then. Yeah, of course it had come out. Yeah.
Like a lot of good things were happening and my relationship with even TVF was like really cool at that time. It still is, but like, it had just started. So I still believe in taking everything one day at a time. I definitely have different plans right now. I want to do more of OTT. I want to do more. I want to play different characters. I also want to do films. I wanted to become a heroine even then and even now. So I'm still working on that. But I've realized that there are a lot of the things keep changing. Like, I mean, things that are right, things the way they are right now were very different back then. So I've obviously grown up around. Like even then I had grown up around a lot of people who are very talented and skilled. But now I've met more people. I've done different kinds of shows. I've understand like, you know, OTT is as big as anything else right now. So I mean, I have some things in place, but like taking it one day at a time is still my plan. That's what I also believe in, like
Love it.
going with the flow. I think it's very important to not, because I have also tried to like think about future, and it makes me really anxious, and I've realized that I just need to take one day at a time, work hard every day, and do the needful things to build my career and to get to the right places, but not stress about anything. So,
Love it. That sounds like a letter to your teenage self. I'm really keen on asking you this because last time you were just discovering the world of OTT and how deep that rabbit hole goes. This time around, you're a podcast legend,
Kuch bhi.
right? At this point. But with Dear Teenage Me, what was that experience like, right?
This year was discovering myself as a podcast host.
Yeah.
And understanding, okay, this is also something that I can do and I would like to, keep doing. But yeah, I mean, I think Dear Teenage Me is definitely one of the biggest highlights of 2022 because I think it launched in March.
March.
Hai na?
Yep.
Haan, so, and it already has a season 2. And it is like it was the number 1 podcast on Spotify. So it's really cool. I mean, I really did not expect myself to host a podcast or even be on Spotify like as one of their artists. But I think I'm very lucky that I get different opportunities to do different stuff and discover that, okay, this is also something that I can do when this interests me. And with Dear Teenage Me, it was a wonderful experience because the show in itself, the podcast in itself is so real and it's so different. Like it's a podcast basically. Like people come on the show and they talk to their teenage selves, and it's really nice. Like I get to hear such different stories and it's so inspiring. And through the process of like making this podcast, I've met really cool people. Like I love you. I mean, I love Nikhil. I love Kevin. So like I've made really cool friends also. So it's just like, I'm literally going next week to record a couple of more episodes. I'm just looking forward to it because I have so much fun just doing it and listening to different kinds of stories. And I've had some really great people on it also. I've had Srishti on it, which is like her story. I remember we were shooting for season 3. We were shooting for season 3 and she said ki I'm doing one of the episodes on Dear Teenage Me, and I read her story in the van with her, and everybody writes their own letters to themselves. So I heard her and we both were crying. So, I mean, it's really nice that, my friends are also able to do this. There's Revti now, like, her episode's going to come very soon. So, I, like, randomly tell people, would you like to be on my podcast? And I also go and tell people that I have a podcast because I've realized it's very cool to say that. It's really, like, people really look at you and they're very impressed. And I'm like, hi, guys. Hi, Ahsaas. I'm an actor and I host a podcast. So
can we cut this in, like, the reel? That this is the section we need? This is the podcast endorsement for all podcast hosts anywhere.
I feel everybody should have a podcast.
I agree with you.
Like everyone.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like now, like how everybody has a YouTube channel right now.
Absolutely.
I think now everybody should also have a podcast because it is a whole different platform, and it is so. I mean, I would never listen to a podcast, to be very honest, till I had my own. And I've realized that it is. You never feel lonely. It feels like you're always with somebody. So
Absolutely.
and you can do a lot of things, and you can like put on your earphones and you can listen to a podcast, and you're like also doing something, and you're also
Adding
taking
entertainment or information.
information and all these things. And I feel like it's very important for people to come, and there are all kinds of podcasts. So anybody can talk about anything they want. So yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
It's like, come and talk to me. I want to talk
Yeah.
about this. Hear me
Absolutely.
out. Sit and let's chat.
It's
Yeah.
very influential.
Yeah.
It is very influential. What I love about podcasts, and again, occupational hazard for me to be listening to just way too many podcasts. Plus, my wife is massively into podcasts, right? Like since way back when. I think it's a fantastic way. And why I love Dear Teenage Me so much as well is it's just a fantastic way to hear about other people's lives, right? I mean, and I love video as well. I've worked in video long enough. I produce 1,000 minutes of video content every year. But video, you're showing something very specific, right? The set is designed, everything's designed, right? Even if it's just a video podcast, for example, right? What are you wearing? How is your hair and makeup? What is the set? आपके पास पीछे neon वाला light है या नहीं है? For a podcast, you don't need any of that. All you need is, you just need to have something to say.
Yeah.
That's all, right? And that's a great way of getting to know someone whose life you will never have an opportunity to get a window into, right? It is, you know, on Dear Teenage Me, for example, right? The spectrum of people that have been on there to share a very simple story, a simple letter to their teenage self, right? And I heard your episode. I've heard Shishi's episode as well. I've heard, well, way too many episodes for it to be good for me. But man, I have such deep empathy for these people that I've never met, right? Do I have that for Mr. Beast? No, I don't, right? Is Mr. Beast also very, very talented and does amazing stuff, or any other YouTube creator, video creator? No, but the power of that medium, right? Just be there. What you said, Shreyasi, just sit here and listen to me talk, right? While you're doing something as mundane as putting makeup on or washing the
Cooking,
dishes
yeah.
or whatever, right? It's such a beautiful window into someone else's life without being prying, without being like put on or you know, for the aesthetic. That it's just a super underrated medium. And I'm so glad to be sitting here and hearing you say that, man, I love introducing myself as a podcast host. It is a cool thing to say, but it's also work. It also needs you to learn how to build a podcast, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to be on that show? Because there's no filters here, right? In a world which is run on reels and filters, there are no filters when you're on a podcast. It's just you talking to people and being stupid sometimes. Wow. You just went into like a soliloquy about podcasts on a podcast. Is this meta?
It's better.
Shreyasi, I want to ask you, this is a question, like I said a little while ago before we started recording. This month for me has been a month of very fascinating conversations with writers of different types, right? I had Rochelle Pinto talk about writing her kind of stuff, which is mostly non-fiction, mostly written word, long form, or kind of stuff that she does. We had Akash Kaushik talking about making films for big banner films, right? Like a Bhul Bhulaiya or a Thank God. Or we had Meeta Kapoor talk about the world of literature, like hardcore literature and all that. And now we have Shreyasi, who makes fantastic web series, right? What are the rules that you have distilled for yourself? कि अभी अगर वेब सीरीज अगली मैं लिखूंगी या अगली जो भी आप प्लान कर रहे हो अगला लिखने के लिए, वो कैसे होनी चाहिए या क्या होना चाहिए उसमें? What makes it successful or cut through with people?
I don't want to set rules, honestly. I think I would probably set rules and then want to break them for
Sure.
myself. But I am definitely my stories are going to have female protagonists,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's about it. I
I
think
love it. I
anything that I write as a protagonist, or the characters that I'm, even antagonists, will have a part of me. So that is something that I want. And yeah, if it's funny, if it yeah, that's it.
No, that's fantastic, man. I
yeah,
think.
it's not a lot that I want to put on myself,
Mhm.
because I'm just starting out also. And yeah, I think
Yeah, I like it. Pithy and brief. Love it. What are some of the shows that you've been seeing and saying, hey, ऐसा कुछ बनाएंगे?
I love Mayor of Easttown.
Oh man, what a good show that is.
What? Which one? Sorry.
Mayor of Easttown?
Oh, yeah. Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet.
Winslet.
And Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I May Destroy You. So many, like countless. I've been watching shows since I was 9. since I got time to after my bedtime, I was allowed to stay up and watch TV. So yeah, I think there are too many things that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So as I go, I am organizing my career path also. So yeah.
Love it. And are there films as well in the offing, or you're like, no man, I like this format better?
I like this format better.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but yeah, movies, I absolutely. But I love web shows because it gives you time to stay with the character more,
Yeah.
and the journeys are more real because because it is taken time. You have given that much time to a character. It's like giving your time to a person.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you watch that person, for the longer time you live with them, the more you connect with them. So I think I like web shows. I've always liked web shows better. Yeah, unless it's like Mad Max, a crazy movie where. So,
Wow, like just went to like Mad Max.
matlab,
But this is a
movie
great
बनाए-
film, right? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. And what I love about it is obviously it's visually stunning, but you don't need dialogue. You just don't need dialogue. चाहिए ही नहीं. करना ही नहीं है. Love it, man. Last thing about writing to you, I know I'm putting you like on the spot, Shreyasi. But this is about the writing process, right? And I know Girls Hostel, and I know this because I was a TVF insider at that time, and I'm now standing just outside the door in the window and being like, "Kya chal raha hai?" But the set of writers who put together Girls Hostel 1 versus 2 versus 3 was very different, right? I think even the way that production happened and all of that, I'm sure was very different. But I'm interested in knowing how you approached writing season 3 versus season 1, who you collaborated with, what went into doing that. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of.
Yeah, I don't do easy questions. I mean, like, easy questions are,
There's
you
a
want to
lot
do
of
easy questions, you go write
history.
CBSE 10
You're
standard.
literally getting a lot of history there. How do
Yeah.
I?
This is what you do on a podcast. You give people time to, you give them a question and then you give them time to answer.
I think, but it's like, I'm glad you're asking me these questions because I'd forgotten that I had lived through these experiences also. But as we talk, I'm getting to go back and live that again. But I think season 1 mein, I have always personally, as a writer, I feel in a writer's room you need to have people who understand the purpose of the story,
Mm-hmm.
and you understand and you're coming from a place that is very non-judgmental.
Sure. Let me stop you there and ask you to break down what you mean by purpose of the story.
आई थिंक एक किसी भी आइडिया या कॉन्सेप्ट में एक पोटेंशियल होता है और बहुत ज़रूरी है that in a majority in a writer's room the writers are into the space of कि और इससे क्या निकल सकता है, you know, just squeezing the potential out.
Mm-hmm.
That is not preachy or that is not like forced on the audience. So I really like to work with writers who are very grounded and very in touch with the core of the story and not very close to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't get lost while you are also building some other character.
Right.
So I think to do that via comedy is another, like, you know, task. So I have been very, like, I've had the best time writing season 2 and season 1 went in a jiffy, so I have and it was long back. So anything before pandemic, I'm sorry,
Delete.
So, but season 2 and also season 1, both, I think. Season 2 was the most fun for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And quick follow up: did you like curate the writers differently in the room, or was it the same people coming back?
It was both, and I think, again, we had writers who already come from a space of telling that kind of stories.
Mhm.
So we had in the first season we had Ashish Manchanda and Chirag who completed the season. Then we had Swasti and Prashant, and Bhatu has been there all throughout.
Shout out to Bhatu.
Shout out Bhatu.
Woo! Bats.
He's just omnipresent in terms when it comes to the show.
Bhatu
and
Samaya.
He's yeah. So I think it's the again how I have gotten to know these people more is that process is very close to me. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. That was a very interesting insight into how you go from season to season as the creative driver behind something as big as Girls Hostel. That's fantastic. And once again, congratulations, man. You should be like over the moon for being able to pull this off and for the kind of response you guys are getting. I have a last segment.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Of course.
Of course.
Because
What of course? Where have you seen this before? It's original. I made
Oh,
it here.
really? Oh,
In
yeah.
this room right
Yeah.
now outside, Saurabh and I were talking. We made it.
never heard of it. Sorry.
All right. Rapid fire.
Ready. It has to be rapid, guys. Please. Everywhere this rapid fire thing happens now, people take 10 hours to answer a question. It's called rapid fire. And
No,
then,
I'm also very lenient, but
no, please,
But
let's
okay,
keep
fine.
it rapid.
Let's
okay?
keep it
That's
rapid.
where the fun is.
let's
Okay,
do this.
okay.
Ahsaas,
Yeah.
first question
Hmm.
to you.
Yeah.
Right. How was the set like, man? Who was the most pranky person on the set, huh? Tell no.
I think the most pranky person was me and Parul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about your pranks.
Parul is crazy. Okay, she's a mad woman.
Okay.
During season 3, I remember we've done a lot of pranks, but one abhi very recently top of my head pe aa raha hai. So there was a photograph framed as a prop of me and Parul. It was one of the props, a physical photo,
Sure.
a physical frame. So we went to like 3 different people, and we told them, "आप हमारा एक photo लेंगे?" तो वो कहते थे हाँ, तो हाथ आगे करते थे कि फोन से लेंगे, तो हम वो फ्रेम थमा देते थे हाथ में. It was hilarious. All 3 of them fell for it. It was just so cool. We were like, and all of them were like, काम कर ले हम, खत्म होता हमारा. So yeah, these kinds of, and then she's like, and she's obsessed with hair. Parul Gulati.
She runs that hair
She
extension
has, yeah.
thingy thing. Yeah.
She's an entrepreneur also. So she has this company called Niche Hair.
Right.
Why
Shout
am I
out to-
promoting it? She's not
Shout
even
out to
paying me
Niche
for
Hair.
yeah.
Yeah.
But she's obsessed with hair. Okay.
Shout out to Nishar, all of this is.
No, I don't use it. And it's all natural. Yeah. So
No,
she's
mine is.
really.
No, I'm joking.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
It's as real as
Yeah.
ऐसा white density आपको नहीं मिलेगा. I'm joking.
But yeah, so she's obsessed. So then her pranks are also like very hair related. So she's like one ऐसा rumor फैला दिया कि किसी के बाल में जुएं हैं. तो सब everybody panicked on set कि oh my god, stay away from everybody. So there was so she's crazy. She's
Oh,
very-
that's scary.
that's rude.
Yeah,
It's
a
mean.
little. Yeah, it's like spreading rumors of a biohazard,
Yeah.
right?
Nobody had it. She just went for it. Yeah.
All right. Rapid fire question to Shreyasi. Who among the cast surprised you most with how they essayed their character?
That's a really nice question. Yeah, thanks.
Tanvi,
Mhm.
I think. More than surprise, I think I was. It was. I was surprised by not just her performance, by the way she approached it. Matlab, I have not seen many. I think Yeah, Tanvi was a surprise.
Wow, that was a very lot of
Very
words.
rapid.
yeah,
Rapid.
very, very,
Yeah.
Very
rapid.
words went into that. But-
So Tanvi,
Tanvi is, just to put like for people who've not watched the show, Tanvi plays Vipassana in season 3, and so basically this character is gender fluid, and this is a conversation that we try to start in season 3, because we've heard people talk about homosexuality, we've talked about the community, but I feel we've not spoken about gender fluidity, and it's handled very well in the show, I feel, in my opinion, because one, it's not spoken about and it's not in your face again.
sure.
It is just a conversation starter. Like even in the show we say that it is enough for people to Google it. So at least through this show, through that episode, I feel people have Googled it and understood what gender fluidity is, and Tanvi's done a great job. I mean, yeah.
Shout out to Tanvi.
Shout out to Tanvi.
Tanvi.
Amazing. Last rapid fire question. It's going to be rapid for one of you, or we can have both of you say it
Together.
together.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
How many more seasons of Girls Hostel will there be?
How many?
You can't make hand symbols.
One more.
One more.
Shreyasi was that was a cop out, man.
Listen,
You had 7 fingers up pehle.
I'm not going to tell you about my moves.
No, guys, this was the last season. Season
Is
3 was
it?
the last
Yeah,
one.
last.
There are no more seasons on it. It actually depends on the success also of season
Yeah.
3. The season 3 has to be successful for us to then
Yeah.
get season 4 to renew.
And what is that, right? In this day and age of OTT, nobody sees view counts and numbers or whatever. What is success as a creative force, as an actor? What is success of a show then?
In my opinion, sorry, I'll go first. In my
She raised
opinion,
her hand to answer this question. I love it.
in my opinion, I think like in the whole OTT space, you don't get to see views. That's correct. So you don't know if the show is doing well, because as long as it's not on YouTube, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
How I judge a show is doing well is the kind of DMs I get
Sure.
and the kind of edits are being made on the show and my character. So there are so many richa edits that I see on Instagram, and I try to share all of them, and they're so amazing. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है वो मैं भेजूं और वो ही हम डाल दें शो में एक गाना हो और ये सारे edits. Anyway, so like this is how I get to know that the show is doing well. And then also like Film Companion does this whole posts of weekly most viewed series. So this week it was on number 3, 4,
Yes.
4.
Yeah,
So-
it's at some 3.2 million views. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
3.7, yeah.
So that's how I get to know that the show is doing well.
Yeah. How about you, man?
I think, views.
Just that?
No, not just that though. But I think views and I have gotten a lot of messages where girls are talking about what they felt.
Mm-hmm.
That's overwhelming. Matlab, It feels like I'm talking to a stranger, and it felt like if they have connected to the characters or to the show so much, then it has made an impact. So it is about impact, and I think views is a form of impact. So I think,
For sure.
yeah.
Love it, man. Thank you so much, both of you, for making time and sitting in this very cold room and talking to us. I know both of you are feeling extremely cold at this
Yeah.
moment. We can turn
Aren't-
the AC
aren't
off
all-
if you like.
Aren't all podcast rooms cold?
Yeah,
That's
it's just like 2 circles above hell. Yeah, that's how studio. I'm joking. These guys sit here all
But
day.
there's just one
all-
AC. Like this is just only one AC. It's
Yeah.
very strong, huh?
Yeah, it's a small room.
And that's also true.
Yeah, I mean even by Bombay standards. So,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for being on the show. It was a delight, a very different texture after many days when I have someone who's an on-screen talent and someone who's an off-screen talent combine and talk about things. It always results in some of the best episodes that we've had on the show. So thank you so much for being on the show. Folks, go check out Girls Hostel, right? I think what's going to happen with Girls Hostel is a few years later, we will have more phenomenal female talent in the industry. And just the way that Shreyasi used Aadha 24 as a touch point, they'll use Girls Hostel as a touch point to
Aw.
say, that's what inspired me to write more. And that's what inspired me to create. It's a phenomenal property. It's a phenomenal show. Congratulations on some amazing stuff to you two. And thank you for being on this show, man. I hope you guys had fun.
I always have fun with you. Yay.
I could talk more, but it's okay.
Can't be all.
Yeah.
Next.
Right. But that's why we do podcasts and we get people back 3 years later.
Yeah.
Ask Ahsaas.
I don't want to wait for more 3 years to be on your podcast. I mean, please call me very soon, okay? Thanks.
For sure. That's it on this episode of Storytellers and Storysellers. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you did, don't forget to rate the show. Thank you to the team at IVM that puts this show together and makes all of this possible. Till next time, this is Vineet Kanabar saying goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.